at the time, I was also in no position to be buying properties because I had so much going on.
Right.
But my buddy came up to me and he was just waving a big bag of money in the air. And he's like, you want some of this? Come help me out. And I'm like, I'll stop what I'm doing because the return on my time is going to be worth it.
Right.
You're checking out the Investor Shed podcast with Nick Beveridge and Jeremy Kitchen. They're on the path to financial freedom and they're taking their community with them. Stay tuned for the best free real estate investing advice on the internet.
Welcome back to the Investor Shed podcast. We're so glad you're here. I'm Nick Beveridge, here with Jeremy Kitchen. Good morning.
Jeremy Kitchen. Good morning to you, Nick Beveridge. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good.
I just can't wait to start this day right.
That's right. Speaking of starting the day right, we're talking about starting partnerships right. This is a fantastic episode, one that Nick and I have a lot of experience on. Nick more than me, a little bit less for me, but that's okay.
Oh, dude, every one of your deals has been like a partnership, right?
Yeah.
Just about?
Yeah.
So you got a lot to talk about.
I got some partnership experience. We didn't even get into all of them. We got into some of them, but we talked into do's and don'ts, how to structure your partnership, how to set it up, and what to look for and what to look out for. So it's a really good episode.
Totally.
Best thing for the good episode, though, what kind of food should people be eating today?
Dude, max out your protein. I would say get one of the Premier Protein vanilla shakes, mix it in with your Catalina Crunch, and have a good old time.
I love it. I was going to say boiled cabbage, but...
Boiled cabbage, too. Pour it on there.
You can put protein shake on your boiled cabbage. Nobody says you can't, and anybody that does say you can't is a hater.
Yeah. What, do you hate the Irish guy?
Yeah, I'm not even Irish. I don't even know.
Scottish guy.
I'm like a mutt. Enjoy the episode about partnerships, though. We love you, and we love this episode.
We love the Irish.
We do.
Well, good morning, Jeremy Kitchen. How are you doing today?
I am doing so good. How are you doing today, Nick Beveridge?
Wow, we just introduced each other.
We did. Look at that. It's almost like we have co-hosts and we have, compatibility with this sort of thing.
I think it's officially the start of the summer. It's Memorial Day weekend, and it is not Memorial Day weekend anymore. Yeah. So if you're listening to this on a Thursday morning a couple months in the future, I apologize.
Right. We recorded this episode actually in 2001. So this we talked about that because, we usually start an episode kind of, recapping our weekend, but by the time the episode comes out, it's 3 months down the road.
It's 2024.
So I'm going to start being completely irrelevant with my intros.
So that COVID was a doozy, huh?
Oh, man. Did you see the Lion King live action movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
I heard Biden's going to be a great president.
I heard a lot of people are going to be great president.
Okay.
Political stances aside, we have a really great episode for you today. We are talking about real estate partnerships. The do's and the don'ts, why you should, why you shouldn't. Going to be a great episode, so...
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
This is something that I think we can both speak on with a little bit of expertise. Of course, we don't claim to be experts in this field, but we just have experience. So that's what we're going to give you today. We're going to share what we've learned about real estate partnerships, specifically a couple of things, LLCs and joint ventures.
Yeah.
There are multiple different types of real estate partnerships that we'll get into, but we only really have experience with a couple of them. So why don't we start off with Jeremy? What was your first real estate partnership like?
My first real estate partnership, and I guess there's two of them, if you count my primary residence with my wife.
Ooh, yeps. Perfect.
Okay.
Let's get into that first.
Okay, so the first one, obviously, was my primary residence. My wife and I got married in January of 2021. Before we were married, we decided to buy a house together. And that part... almost like made the marriage easier because I'm like, well, we're already locked into a 30-year agreement with each other.
That's true.
Why don't we just get married?
Yeah.
But we bought when the market was really right. So the interest rates were still abysmally low. I think it was 3.25, and then we did a 1-point interest rate buy down.
Yes.
On a primary residence in Rathdrum, Idaho. That house has been the golden goose, basically, for us to at least start investing and go from there. You've heard this story on previous podcasts, of course, but, within a year of owning the house, we had almost $200,000 of equity. So we got a $170,000 HELOC on our primary residence, which has allowed us to do numerous other partnerships, actually.
Yes. Now, Jeremy, if you wanted to buy that house without Sam, would you have been able to?
No, sir.
If Sam wanted to buy that house without you, would she have been able to?
No, sir. Absolutely not.
So benefit about partnerships, sometimes you can buy stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to on your own. So that's one of the biggest, I think one of the biggest reasons that people jump into partnerships.
Right.
They feel like they can enter into real estate with more than one person. It's not always the case, but that's what allowed you to do what you did, and you don't regret it.
No, not at all.
What are some of the things that you've learned though, buying a house with a not spouse yet?
With a not spouse yet. And again, like the vision was shared at the end, right? We knew that, okay, home prices were on the rise in Idaho. We knew that home prices were going to continue to soar. We were at a very specific time in history. Again, this was a COVID house where it's like, we went and got pre-approved at a bank just to see what we could get pre-approved for, you know, just, we're dating, let's see what we can get pre-approved for. And at the time it was like $330,000 collectively. And I think the house we bought was like 307. So we skid into this house.
Yeah.
We barely got it. And my wife was a realtor, of course. So she actually got to save 3% because we got an FHA loan. She got to save her commission and put it towards the down payment of the house, which effectively made it so we had to come to the table with less money.
Okay.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, you know, that was the first partnership. And I think what matters the most, we'll get into a lot of these details, of course, but a shared vision of what you want and where you want to go with it is ideal and necessary for any partnership.
It's so important.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't have a shared vision long term, you're gonna run into problems.
Right.
Like guaranteed. And the thing about partnerships is that they all end.
Yes.
Even if they're going well. So you got to have an exit plan too. You got to have a shared vision or an exit plan, or ideally both. Because that's what a lot of people don't take into consideration when they are jumping into a partnership is like, okay, what's the exit plan?
Right.
Like when this ends, or if it ends, and how could it end? What's going to happen?
Right. Yeah. So that was my first, you know, official partnership, but it was about this time that I started, you know, bugging you and nagging you to do a flip as well.
Yep.
So, you know, they both kind of happened almost at the same time, but collectively, you know, it was that first primary residence, and then Violet, which I'm sure you've all heard of as well, was my first actual partnership into an investment property.
True that. Now me, I've had a lot of different partnerships, more than the average person, just probably because I've been in it longer than most people around me. Not everybody, definitely. But my experience with partnerships has overall been a good one, because it's allowed me to get in the position where I am today.
Yeah.
Then again, looking back, there were so many partnerships I got into that were completely unnecessary.
Sure.
And it's, you know, live and learn.
Right.
And that's typically how I do things. But so I'm going to share with you guys today some of the things I've really taken away over time.
Yeah.
Some of the different ways I will structure. I'm not saying I'm never going to get into partnerships again by any means. I still am. But I'm setting them up differently.
We talked about a different partnership this last week.
Yes, we did.
So, but we can get into that later. But the thing with Nick and I, like, we know, like, and trust each other, and that's very important with any sort of partnership, right? So again, know the person, vet the person. We'll talk all about how to vet these people as well. But like, I would trust Nick with my life.
Oh,
I'm serious. Like, I've known Nick longer than I've known most people.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Same with you.
Like 99% of my people, like, you've been the longest person in my life.
Kindergarten.
It was first grade, but fucking whatever.
Well, we went to the same kindergarten place.
Okay.
I guess we weren't in the same
Did
class.
you go to Frederick Kindergarten?
I don't know. Someplace off Celtice?
Yep. Okay, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. All you people out in Postal Idaho, that kindergarten doesn't exist anymore. But apparently we wouldn't have
burned it down. The Aryans burned it down.
Is that true?
Yeah, they didn't like the books.
The kindergarten books?
I'm joking.
Kids can't even read.
More political stuff just for fun.
Gotcha.
Hey, Coeur d'Alene, are you ready to take your real estate game to the next level?
Join us for an exclusive 2-day real estate investing seminar right here in Coeur d'Alene, September 21st and 22nd.
We have an amazing lineup of guest speakers that are traveling out here to teach you everything you need to know to succeed in real estate investing.
That's right. How to find a deal. What is a good deal? How to form an LLC. What tax strategies do I use?
We'll dive in on how to wholesale real estate, how to do fix and flips, and how to purchase long-term rentals.
And that's just the beginning. We're also going to dive into self-storage units, property management, and how to invest out of state. Hey, Nick, what's the market going to do in 2025?
I don't know, but we got Kathy Fecky from Bigger Pockets coming to forecast the 2025 real estate market. And we're going to talk about how to create those business leverage systems.
Plus, we're going to learn how to get your mindset right. What's a short-term rental versus a mid-term rental? How do I build passive income, or should I be building massive income?
What to do? What do we do?
I don't even know what to do with my hands.
I don't even know what to do. We're going to learn. I'm telling you, this is an opportunity you do not want to miss.
Tickets are limited, very affordable, and you do not want to miss networking with these amazing people going to be at this event.
Yes, so hurry. Hurry.
Run.
Click on the link.
Go to northidahorei.com and click on the 2024 Fall Conference tab. Get you signed up.
They're going to sell out, I promise you.
It's gone. It's going to be gone.
Bye-bye.
Just for fun. So yeah, let's break into some of your partnerships, Nick, because you have a lot of experience partnering. I have a lot of experience with you and some of your partners. Yeah, it's been a lot of my partners, but you've been doing this a very long time. So break it down. Like, what's partnerships to you? What do you look for, and why go into a partnership?
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of explain what I've been through so far, I started flipping houses with my brother Sean. He was my first real estate partner. That was back in 2013, and we decided we were going to seminars, and we decided we really wanted to work together and fix and flip homes. And at the time, it just seemed like a lot, which I don't feel that way anymore because I've done plenty of them.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's as important to jump into partnerships. But at the time, it was super necessary for me and my mindset, and just being able to like hold hands with somebody, somebody that I really trusted, which was my brother. And we're like, hey, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So we just went in 50-50 on everything initially. So it was 50-50 on the money that we needed. It was 50-50 on the time that we were investing in the house. And then we split the profits 50-50.
Yeah.
Now, over time, after we did a couple, I started to realize that it wasn't that fair, but I was okay with that.
Right.
I started to realize also that partnerships are never fair.
There is no direct.
They're never going to be fair.
Uh-huh.
You just have to be comfortable with, do you want to be in this partnership or not?
Yeah.
And is the partnership worth it based off who's bringing what to the table?
Right.
And at the time, we just made some tweaks. We flipped a couple of houses. The thing I was also doing in that partnership, which it took me a little bit to catch on, I was kind of doing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I found the deal.
Right.
And I was funding the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was selling the deal.
That's a lot.
And Sean was more just in the mix with helping getting the property renovated,
right?
Acting more as a contractor, less and less. He became less and less of a money partner because up front, the first couple of deals, he was investing his money into it, and we were splitting everything 50-50. But I was the real estate licensed agent,
right?
And I just had a little bit more, way more involved in the acquisition, finding a deal, getting it financed,
right?
So we kind of agreed that, hey, I think it's better if you stick with renovating and improving the property, let me handle everything else.
Yeah.
And I'll even help coordinate what kind of repairs we're doing. You just got to show up and bring the crew.
I love that. And what's cool about that, Nick, is obviously you figured out early on what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So almost like you knew your roles and you were good at what you knew, right?
Yeah.
Like you were not good at the contracting stuff. Like I love Sean, but to see him sell a house or try to get money, I think would be tough.
Yeah, and he could do it.
Yeah, he could do it. Absolutely. He can do anything he ever wants.
But he's just better at showing up with a group of guys and getting dirty and getting shit done.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying though. Like you guys knew and you figured out your roles really quick. And that's what made that partnership beneficial for you, is almost staying in your own lane, but also like providing abundance and continuing to nurture the partnership, if that makes sense.
That's true. Yeah. And then as the years went on, I got more and more in the weeds in real estate, more deals, and less. I needed to start working with more people, and not just my brother, because he could only be so many places at once.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I was still always kind of doing a deal with him or so, but I started coming into more opportunities than I anticipated.
Sure.
And I had to form other partnerships with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've been in more than 20 different partnerships with more than 20 different people.
Okay.
Some of them over and over again, some of them just once.
Yep.
And I got to learn that there's some pretty fundamental lessons that I got to learn.
Sure.
And here's one big takeaway right from the start. If you're going to do a partnership with somebody and they're not bringing any money to the deal, it's a big red flag.
Yep.
Because when stuff goes wrong, they're the first to walk away and act like there's going to be zero consequences, because there really aren't for that person. So that was something that I learned, right, as the years went on. If you have a partner that's not bringing any money, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing.
No, it doesn't.
But watch out.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100% on that. Honestly, like when you come to me with certain things, there have been certain things in the past where you've brought it to my attention if I want to be a partner, and none of your other partners were financially going to contribute.
Yep.
So I decided not to take deals.
Yeah.
And that was the main indicator for me, was like, are these people financially invested? Do they have the resources to keep this thriving if this ship goes down? Because it can't all be on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's just something I have in my head. Like, financial responsibility cannot all be on my shoulders in a partnership.
And you got to learn that the easy way by seeing somebody else go through the shit.
I did, yeah. The best mentorship I've ever seen is just watching you do your stuff.
Watching me screw up.
I wouldn't even call this screw up, though, because you've learned such like valuable lessons doing this. Excuse me. You've learned such valuable lessons doing this stuff. And again, you don't know what you don't know, and you want to trust but verify everyone, of course, and you don't know what doesn't work out until it does. You can think you have a shared vision, but it doesn't actually make it a reality unless everybody puts in their piece.
Totally. So before we go in depth in more examples and stuff, why don't we break down the different types of partnerships that you can have?
Cool. Okay.
One of the first things that may come to mind is, get an LLC and have multiple owners on an LLC, which is totally doable. Not really something I recommend anymore right away, but here's what that looks like.
Yep.
You structure a company and you register it with the state that you're in. Ideally, the state that you're in. We learned from Matt Swanson, the wealth attorney, that it's pointless setting up entities in other states that you don't operate in, because they're not going to hold up in court.
Set the LLC in the state you plan on buying the property, and that rings true with me whenever he says that, because I just listen to him on the way here.
yeah. Take advice from attorneys, not us.
Yeah. So he whenever he does real estate deals, he sets up the LLC entity in the state he plans on investing. So if he's going to be doing Florida deals, he sets up a Florida LLC. If he's going to be doing Idaho deals, he sets up one in Idaho. Every state LLC structures are pretty similar, but some states have different implications. Like California, I believe, is an $800 annual fee to have your LLC renew. Idaho, it's free, right?
Yep.
You just hit the button on the second.
Annually, it is. To set up, it costs money, and but it does cost money to maintain LLCs every year.
Yeah.
I mean, the tax guy, your tax preparer is not free.
No.
And every time you have a new entity, I mean, it'll just expect to spend a few $100 a year if you have an LLC per LLC.
Sure.
So if you, over the years, start, getting into 20 different partnerships with 20 different people, like, are you prepared to spend 10 grand a year just in tax filing preparation?
Right. It's a thing.
Because there are better ways to go about it.
Sure. I do think like the LLC is a good way to go about it, and almost preferred
if you're doing multiple deals.
If you're doing multiple deals, yes, and just the protection it gives you from people going after you as a person. But there's obviously other ways to do that. So the LLC gives you a little bit of protection, piercing that corporate veil, so people can't just sue you if something goes wrong. They have to hit the LLC first, and then it fizzles down into you if a lawyer can get past it.
Yeah. Now, if you're going to fix and flip a property, I'm not going to recommend just go get an LLC with somebody.
Sure.
You can have your own LLC and then have a joint venture agreement, which is a form of a partnership where you bring together people or companies or entities to work on a specific project that eventually has an end timeline.
Yes.
There's you're improving a property. you're making a profit, you're done with the profit, and then that ends the joint venture agreement.
Yep.
Once the property's, ideally the way when you set it up.
Sure.
With an LLC, it doesn't necessarily end. You can set up an LLC with somebody and then it will just kind of sit there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what now?
Right.
But you can have an LLC being one of the parties of the joint venture agreement.
Yep.
So you can still have some protection by saying, hey, this is my LLC and let's joint venture with your LLC.
Right.
One of us is going to own this property, but we'll own the deal together in a joint venture agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the JV is a really good way to do this. And it still gives you, like you said, that protection, especially if you're bringing your own LLC into the joint venture. But that just kind of depends on being crystal clear on your paperwork.
Yep.
And what your role is, because if the LLC gets sued or the house gets sued or whatever it is, and my job on the LLC was just to be a financing partner as a JV, like, I'm pretty clear in the books. I did no contracting. Nobody said I'm swinging hammers, breaking things. I'm not responsible for injuries here. I'm just a money partner. And again, there's a lot of different ways.
Like a limited partner.
A limited partner. That, yeah, exactly. So there's, again, 1,000 different ways to do this, and we'll get into them.
Yeah. And then going on about joint venture agreements, another reason I love this is you're not registering this with the state or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just simply a document that you have with another party, and you guys sign it and you keep copies.
Yes.
And that's it. You don't need to, we're going to recommend, since this is a podcast going out to the public, have an attorney look over a joint venture agreement that you draft up, or have ChatGPT join, here's a great way to do this. If take notes here, if you guys are going to get into a partnership with somebody, get some sort of a recording device and talk with that person for an hour about what you guys plan to do. And then take that and transcribe it, take the transcription, throw it into ChatGPT, and ask that ChatGPT to draft up a joint venture agreement based off what you guys stated.
Yeah. Copy
Copy and paste that, put that in Google Docs, take that, edit it as you need to, print it off, sign it, then send it to your attorney and say, hey, would you look this over?
Sure.
And see if we screwed anything up here, or do you think we're good? I think you'll save some money.
Right.
And a lot of time and confusion if you go about it that way.
I would go about it slightly different.
Okay.
But same things. But what I would do is, so obviously, like you said, like, take notes, have an AI recorder or a voice recorder while you're talking about your partnership and what everyone's going to be doing. Put it into your, Chat GPTs, your Google Drive and everything before you sign it. That's when I would send it to my attorney.
Okay. Or that.
Yeah. And that way, just, like, hey, we spend $100, we get an attorney consult for an hour. Can you look this thing over? Anything we missed, let me know.
Yeah. And the reason why I say just, sign it and then send it, because sometimes you won't get a reply right away. And it's better to have an agreement than no agreement.
100%.
And you can always modify and amend your agreements.
Yeah. I just like to start things out on a really good foot lately.
Sure.
Like, make sure we're all on the same page. Make sure, like, okay, you looked at it, I looked at it, attorney looked at it. Are we good?
Yeah. Because what most people do in real estate partnerships is that they have a discussion, and then they have a handshake.
Yep.
And
we've done a lot of handshaking.
And then time goes on, and people forget what they agreed on. They forget the details because we have this thing called a human brain with memory that sucks.
That's what it's called, the human brain with memory that sucks, yes.
And there's been studies on this. When you discuss something with somebody and you have an agreement, less than 20% of it will be retained after 2 weeks.
Wow.
Less than 20%.
I believe it.
So that's why written agreements are important.
Yes.
Very important, especially when it comes to real estate transactions.
Right. Where there's, money being transferred around and business being conducted. Like, yeah, absolutely. Get it in writing and get it signed for sure.
Yeah.
I love everything you said about that. Honestly, like, just prepare yourself, and an agreement is definitely better than no agreement for sure. But if you have questions about your partners or your deals, it is nice to get a second opinion with an attorney. And I will say, when you're making these agreements and contracts and everything like that, I'm sure it's on the list to talk about today, but just be so incredibly clear of what your role is, what the company's role is, what happens in case scenarios.
Yeah.
right?
What happens?
So if Nick and I are in a partnership, like, okay, if Nick dies, like we have it in our agreement that I can buy out his shares and pay off his family and continue the partnership, right?
Yep.
Or
write a survivalship.
Right, a survivalship. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's on this stuff because things happen.
Yes. I've had a partner that died.
Yeah, you did.
I've had it happen. I've had partnerships where people embezzled money. I've had partnerships where people didn't necessarily do what they agreed to do. And I've had more than half of the partnerships go just fine.
Right.
So it's important to have things in writing. It's important to have the, oh shit, what happens when agreements in writing as well.
Absolutely. Or say if, your partner stops doing their job, right? You have 30 days to comply or lose shares in the partnership, whatever it is. You can structure this however you want, but just again, make sure you go 7 levels deep on this stuff on, okay, this happens, then this happens. If that doesn't happen, then this happens. If that doesn't happen, then we're here. And then we go to court or whatever it is. Just make sure everybody understands. That way, if anything, if your partners have any questions, you pull back up your document.
Yeah.
And you say, what did we agree on? What do we sign on?
Yeah, totally.
Let's run down the list. Okay, this would happen. Got it. So,
yep. So I was in a partnership for the last almost 3 years with a group of guys on this development. We'll get into more details on that development, but just an example here where we just simply had an LLC with very vague job instructions. We kind of agreed on the phone that, the guy in Florida would be kind of in charge of the treasury. Another guy in Spokane would also kind of help out with that. Another guy really didn't have any responsibilities other than putting in the majority of the money.
Right.
And then I had a smaller part of this. I was just putting in money and I didn't necessarily have any job titles. It was more just a money thing. And then we had a guy that was in charge of all the project management. What we did was we bought a piece of land for $750,000 and we were going to develop it into 38 twin home lots, shovel ready for a builder. And then we were either going to build on them or sell the lots. One of the two. We weren't sure yet. What happened was we purchased the lots. Then one of our partners, his wife died. Another partner who was supposed to be doing all the project management, his dad died.
Yeah.
And then his daughter got a tumor. Another guy in our partnership, he had an apartment building that he was building and had serious issues with it.
Yeah.
It's building a 34-unit apartment complex, and they went like triple over budget, and they couldn't get any renters for very many months.
Yeah.
Everybody was going through crap, and nothing was happening.
One of
my role in this position was to do nothing.
Right.
But
Did you end up doing nothing?
I ended up doing a shit ton.
I know you did. I'm just kidding.
But all of the percentages stay the same. I still got paid what I would have been paid if I didn't do anything. But it would have been nice to have a little bit more job descriptions of who does what when.
Yep.
The guy in Florida couldn't really do much.
Right.
So I ended up taking care of a lot of the money things. The project manager, he did a lot, but he needed a lot of help.
Sure.
So there are things that you'll never really anticipate happening start happening
right
in people's lives. So you just need to be prepared for it and make sure you have job descriptions written down somewhere.
Right.
Because all we had was an LLC.
Yeah.
We had an LLC with an operating agreement that was just, boilerplated, nothing really custom.
Sure.
And things sat for like a year and nothing happened.
And I know like all these people, like I know every single person you're talking about in this partnership, and they're all fantastic people, of course.
They are. Yeah.
But in like that case, of course, like could you have went back and renegotiated some of your share in the partnership because you were taking over other roles?
I could have, but that wasn't top of mind.
Right, that wasn't top of mind.
I was getting a little impatient.
Sure.
And I just wanted things to start moving. So I felt like I started pushing hard to let's just start this project, please. Right. let me go help in trying to find somebody to do it.
Right. Because you also brought other partners into that deal. You were in charge of bringing some cash, and instead you leveraged some of that out. So now people are depending on you.
Oh yeah. Well, that was a partnership within a partnership.
Exactly.
So I was a partnership of the LLC, but then I brought joint ventures, partnerships to raise some of my money.
Yeah.
Which I raised like 70% of what I needed.
It's like partnership inception if you think about it.
Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. You were in your absolute right to give away some of your equity in exchange for some of your collateral not having to bring all the money to the table.
And those partners that I brought, they all made almost a 36% return.
Awesome.
So not too bad.
Not too shabby.
I made more.
Of course.
Because I was a operating principal in there. But yeah, that one, with all the issues, we still ended up winning at the end of the day. But it could have not have been that way. I felt like there were almost too many people involved in that one.
And imagine, like, obviously, like, Nick operates with a lot of integrity in his partnerships. I've done partnerships with Nick before. And I think that's what makes us work so well together. Like, we're both like, what do we need to do to get this done?
Yeah, we're action takers.
Right. I don't particularly enjoy it sometimes, like, doing more, and I'm sure you don't either, but, like,
no.
The job will get to a stagnant place if nobody's doing anything. Like, does this need capital infusion? Do you need me to go take more photos of the property? What do you need? Like, let me know what you need. And you were the same way, like let's get this thing done.
Yep.
And that's what makes me always want to partner with you. Like,
we have an agreement, and we don't mind stepping outside of that.
Right.
As long as we can get the project done faster.
We're pretty good on our agreement, but also, like, things happen on real estate deals. And if it's outside the structure of what we both talked about or who was going to be partnering for what, like, we just nut up and do it.
Yep. That's true. So going back into like some other different, like, legal type of partnerships, we talked about joint ventures. Those are simple. That's where you have just a document where you're bringing together people for a short-term cause, a short-term project.
Yeah.
Limited liability companies, LLCs, that's more long-term. You're operating ideally on more than one property over time or a business.
Yep.
So there's also general partnerships. Now, general partnerships, you don't necessarily need to register with the state or anything like that, but that's an ongoing operation where partners have full liability.
Right.
There's no limited liability there. Like, they're opening themselves up to potential lawsuits, and they're just equally sharing in profits and losses.
But on that kind of stuff, like, obviously, like, with general partnerships, like, that starts getting into almost syndications part, where they say, they're opening themselves up to tax implications and legal fines or whatever. But trust me, if you're in a syndication or a general partnership, like, you've got that covered on the back end, or at least you should.
Yeah. And it's important. Yeah. So general partnerships, it's a business arrangement between two or more individuals. Specifically here, I'm reading through it. That share in all assets, profits, and financial and legal liabilities of business. So in this arrangement, each partner would equally be responsible for the business operations and debts.
Yep.
So structures, they're usually two or more individuals or entities. So it could be my LLC and your LLC, or me personally and you personally.
Yep.
Pretty simple, and they're not necessarily registered with a state.
Sure.
So it's a general partnership isn't necessarily its own entity.
Sure.
Now, the difference between that and a limited partnership is a limited partnership could have an agreement with a general partnership, and that's where you're more like a silent investor.
Right, real passive.
Yeah, you're just putting money into a business, and you're not necessarily exposed to the same liability.
Yeah.
So that's what that's all about. And then there's, of course, REITs and that kind of stuff that we can get into. But I think I want to, since we have the most experience here, let's just focus on LLCs and joint ventures.
I love it.
The general partnerships, the limited partnerships, REITs, those kind of things. Look for another podcast.
It is something I want to dive into, like, and I've reached out to, Julie Hawley, of course, to invest with her and other syndicators in the area, but, like, the idea of just putting money into a deal for me and just putting money in and getting money back sounds really nice. But it's not going to be my total strategy, but it's going to be a cog I want to place in the machine, basically.
Yeah. Now, you got to be careful there too, because you could be looked at as a sophisticated investor with the SEC.
Yep. Good job. Wow.
Yeah,
SEC.
SEC.
What does it mean? Do you know what it means?
Security and Exchange Commission?
I'm impressed. Wow. You're right.
Yeah.
Continue.
Why wouldn't you think I would know that?
I don't know. It was an acronym. I just thought you meant it meant SEC.
SEC with the SEC.
Get the SEC.
The sex education controversies.
I just love to have the sex. SEC apostrophe S.
Yeah. So something important to know, if you are in a real estate partnership and you are doing nothing but just simply putting money into it, you got to be careful, because that is that could be looked at as a syndication that is not in compliant with the SEC.
Most of the time, your operator, they will give you a private placement memorandum, a PPM, and they will outline everything of, how they are in compliance with laws and everything.
Yeah. So I got to admit, I've done a lot of these things wrong. I've had partners come in where they just give me money and then I do the deal and they're totally passive, and then I give them back, their money plus a return. And it's actually not good. Right. What you want to do is have them be involved in something else in the deal. And it could be minor. It could be super minor. Like with you,
work.
just, some admin work, or like, can you help out, look over this P&L?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Like, help out in some way on the deal.
Put your name on the piece of paper other than just a financial partner.
Yeah. Or like with you, it's like, hey, can you take a load to the dump? Right. Take a load of...
I said no.
Yeah. You said you weren't going to back in the trailer.
Yeah. What I meant was I can't drive a truck with a trailer.
Yeah. And that was in our agreement.
Yeah. I also said I'd put my bodily services to clean out the property. So I cleaned out the property. And I just love our contracts because, our first LLC was Moist Homes. My job in the partnership, which we should have been more clear on what each partner's job was to do. My job was to keep homes dry. Yours was to make them wet.
Yes. You know what's funny is I was at jury duty all last week, and one of the other fellow jurors that was next to me the whole time, she worked at the title company at NIT.
Okay.
And she remembers Moist Homes.
Okay, good. Moist Homes, we're on the map, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. She's like, that was, the office got a good laugh about that one.
Good.
Because they had another Init LLC at the same time.
They had another Init?
It was called Init LLC.
Oh, okay. So
Init Moist Homes, it was just a bunch of...
Sure. Well, next LLC we do, we should be slippery a little bit again.
Slippery.
Slippery LLC.
Okay. All right. So, I want to hear, if you don't mind, and you can be vague.
Sure.
What are some real estate partnerships that you've been in where you weren't too pleased?
Good question.
Or where you would have done things differently?
Sure. And I will say that, like, I've been pleased in all my partnerships because the end result has came to fruition and we didn't lose money.
Yeah, that's good.
No matter what I've done, I have not lost money in a real estate transaction.
Yeah.
Which that day is coming. I know it happens. It's only a matter of time or a matter of due diligence. But there are things. So, I mean, again, like, just going back to our first partnership, and I'm not going to try to be vague or anything. I'm not upset. I had a good time with Moist Homes. But, like, we were pretty vague on what each partner's role was to do.
Yeah, that's true.
We were just like, you keep them dry, we keep them wet. Let's make a laugh. Ha ha ha.
Let's just get this house done.
Right.
Yeah.
But then at the end, it was like, okay, like, we both had to keep coming to the table with capital. And annoying as it was, we got the job done.
Right. So I think the problem was in that partnership, you and I, neither of us really knew what we wanted to do with that property.
Yeah.
We weren't exactly sure. Did we want to keep this thing long term?
Right.
Or do we want to just fix and flip it?
Right.
Because when we bought it, we weren't able to walk through it, and we weren't sure if that ADU had potential or not.
Yeah.
Or if it was just, if it was, and it ended up not being that great.
Right.
We ended up renting it out anyway.
Yeah.
Like, we're all over the board with that property. But I think we didn't really share a vision with this property because neither of us had a clear vision.
Right. I think I was excited just to work with you, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I was excited that you thought I was cool enough to do a real estate transaction with.
Yeah.
So we put our money in. But, and again, like, I'm not disappointed in any of this because it all has made me a better investor. And what I mean by that, like that first project, yeah, I think we both put an extra 30 or 40,000 each into this deal after everything was said and done. The next partnerships I did with you, like I put a cap on my money.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So I learned, like, I'm like, okay, if things go over, like I want an end game.
Yes.
I don't want to be financially responsible for this entire piece. I will happily still contribute, of course, but like my proceeds need to have a cap on it. And the cap is what I'm comfortable with lending without going into too much debt.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And again, so you're
setting proper expectations.
Proper expectations.
Wow.
So we did Bark after that. And you said you needed $10,000.
Maybe up to
$10,000. And I took that into heavy consideration. In our partnership, I said, I will contribute up to $10,000.
Yeah.
That deal was great. Like, I'll do a Bark again 100%, 100 days.
Yep. And we didn't need it.
I put like $2,700 into the whole deal, and I got paid back, I think, like $13,000.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, like a 600% return on my money for 5 months.
And we all did well.
Yeah, we all did well. And again, that was a deal that was structured where they just needed a little bit of renovation capital, and I'm like, okay, in exchange for 10% of equity, I will put up to $10,000 in. And again, that's just what I've learned off that partnership.
Yeah.
And I learned to put a cap. We did this in what was the one we did in Priest River together?
Well, before we move on, why don't we, for those listening, because not everybody listens to every podcast we do.
Why not?
We can talk about Bark real quick, because that was an interesting partnership.
Yeah.
That one, I kind of worked as a middleman in that one. An agent of my team at the time, he brought me a deal that he got under contract, Impulse Falls, for $100,000. It was a smoking deal.
Yeah.
I knew it was a smoking deal. But he wanted to be a partner in some way, and he had to bring something to the table other than the deal itself.
Yeah.
Now, I firmly believe if someone's just bringing you a deal, don't think you should have to partner with somebody like that. Definitely pay him for it.
Sure.
A wholesale fee or something. But the thing that Josh was doing was he had experience converting a manufactured home to real property.
Yep.
So that was his. He was not only bringing the deal, but he was also going to manage that process.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to put any money into it. He didn't want to raise the capital needed to acquire the property. He needed my help with that. At the time, I was also in no position to be buying properties because I had so much going on.
Right.
But my buddy came up to me and he was just waving a big bag of money in the air. And he's like, "You want some of this? Come help me out." And I'm like, I'll stop what I'm doing because the return on my time is going to be worth it.
Right.
Hey, quick commercial break here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give back, let me help you buy a house, or I can help you sell a house. It's the only way I make money when I'm not investing in real estate. I don't make money on this podcast or the events I do, but I do make money only when I help people buy and sell houses. So if you're looking for your next investment and you're here in North Idaho, I want to help you personally. If you are not in North Idaho, I can still help you out. I have a vast network of referral partners all across the country in Keller Williams Realty, and I can find the right real estate investor savvy agent for you so you don't have to. It doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you for your support. Back to the show. So I put everything on hold. I'm like, let's figure this out. I will gladly help you. And so he was a 50% partner, which he deserved it. He brought a really good deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a house that was worth at least $250 after fixed up. And it didn't need much fixing up.
And we bought it for like 90 or 100,
yeah.
right?
But it had it needed to go through the process of becoming real property because it was just a manufactured home on land, and it was taxed as two different things. It was taxed as here's the land, here's the mobile home. It needed to become one, and it needed the DMV title to go away. So he knew how that process worked because he had been through it before. So he brought extra value. He didn't only bring the deal; he knew how to do that. So he was a 50% partner, and then I, as the other 50%, said, "Well, I would love to help with this. I know we're going to need some money fixing it up.
Yep.
May not need much. Why don't I bring in Jeremy? He's got some cash. I don't think we're going to need more than a few $1,000s. You might need some help kind of cleaning the place out. Hey, do you want to be involved in this? We'll give you 10% of the deal out of my 50% portion. So I'm going to drop down to 40.
Yep.
Give you 10. So there was a 50% partner, a 40% partner, and a 10% partner, you were bringing the extra funds needed to close on it and do any renovation up to 10 grand, and also throw your body around if needed for a limited time to help out with moving some junk out of the house.
My contribution as far as, like manual labor, I think I was there 2 or 3 days, maybe even half days, just putting stuff in garbage bags and loading the dump trailer. That's basically all I did. And a little bit of cleanup. I know you and I put some stick LVP down or whatever.
The truth is, I probably spent a lot more time there than anybody else, but that always seems to happen. I always seem to do that to myself. And I can't help it. We could have used some of that money to just hire somebody to do all this stuff.
Sure.
But at the time I was so antsy to just go work on properties. Right. I'm like, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that.
Well, I did a lot of work on it too. Like you did too. There too, but like I was there a lot, and I did give you guys free photos. Like that was stuff that I didn't even put in my contract. But every partnership I've been on, like you get free real estate photos by Ginger Snap Media. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's a small price, but it ends up being $300 to $500 that you save on the back end.
And where I was going with that, I wasn't trying to diss on you for not being there. Okay. You were there.
Okay.
What I was trying to tell you is you don't always have to use the money that's available to use. That it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like if you know that you can get a property done, but you physically going there to get things done a little cheaper, I don't think there's anything wrong with that unless your time is better spent somewhere else.
Sure.
Maybe mine was. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Yes. And I like doing that stuff. Like I love doing like demos and clean outs of houses. I always feel like I get such a good workout in. I come back smelling like rat shit, which is my wife doesn't like. I'm like, don't talk to me, don't look at me. I'm going directly in the shower. I am covered in asbestos.
So what ended up happening, we bought that property with a hard money loan. I set up the loan, and I also brought you together. So I went out and I got a hard money loan for the purchase. I went and got you. I used one of my other properties as a cross collateral so that we can get the loan funded 100% through somebody that we've already used before. So in a sense, kind of partnered with a hard money lender too, but not really. It's just a hard money loan. Yeah, but you can look at it as another partner. Sure. Because it's a high interest rate.
It's a resource that you had that you leveraged out. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a partnership on paper, but again, you used it. So you had to bring $0 down and you just put a second position lien on another investment property. Is that correct? Yeah.
And what that guy did was he brought partners into his loan. Partnerships. Like real estate is all about a community and a lot of people working together. Yep. So this guy brought like 2 or 3 other people to fund the $100,000. And that's the realistic way how it worked out. There were a lot of people involved, even though it was kind of a smaller project, smaller money. Yeah. And we sold it for $260 something. Profited, I think, 160 or something like that. And we all had a good day at the bank.
Yeah. That one was weird because, like, it was a really good partnership, but part of me was kind of jealous I wasn't more of a partner. No, I'm being serious. Like, you got Josh 50, you 40, and then, like, I had 10, which, again, I'm not complaining about, but, like, part of me's like, I want more. How do I be part of more of a deal?
You gotta help getting the deals.
Right, and I get that. And I understand the business, but...
And Josh didn't exactly knew exactly what he had. He still needed me to come in and help him get an idea. What is this property worth?
Right.
How can we finance it? What should it be worth?
Sure.
And what do we need to get it done in this property to make it worth that?
Right.
So it's not always about, if you're just bringing the money, you're not always going to be a big equity owner.
Right. That depends, though. I mean, if you're bringing, a big chunk of capital and you're bringing a work ethic and you're willing to do other things, like we've done 50-50 deals. I've done deals where you've been 75, 25, 40, 10. Like we've done a lot of different structures. It just depends on, what I'm willing to contribute and what you're willing to contribute and how can we make it make sense with, positioning the levers.
Yeah. And if you're just starting out and if you don't have a whole lot of experience and if you don't have a whole lot of money, expect the equity to not always be in your favor.
Yep.
Because when you're just starting out, you got a lot to learn. if I was just starting out fixing and flipping homes, but I had the right people around me, I wouldn't care if I was getting 25%.
I get it.
As long as I was learning how it worked. I almost wouldn't care how much I would have to do. But if somebody else was bringing the bulk of the funds,
Right.
and somebody else was kind of dictating what needed to be done, and all I was told to do was just go,
Right. Yeah.
I'd be excited. And over time, you expect to probably be a bigger equity owner if you're the ultimate resource for putting the puzzle pieces together.
Right. And again, no way am I like complaining about that, but like I think when I saw that closing sheet, I'm like, they did pretty well.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like it wasn't even like a jealousy. I'm just like, that's awesome.
You need to go make more offers on properties.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. All right. So that is, let's see, where are we at? 45 minutes.
I got some stuff I wanted to talk about.
Yes, I want to hear from you.
Okay, so obviously you've been in a lot of partnerships. You've done a lot of partnerships. You said you've had over 50. Was that correct?
Oh no, I tried to count them the other day because I was wanting to do an episode like this, and I know I was over 25, and then I just stopped counting.
Yeah,
25 different people that I've had either one or many partnerships with.
And going into this, obviously, you've had partners that have worked out great. You've had partners that have worked out horribly, and you've had partners that like, yeah, that was okay. When you're vetting a partner, what are you looking for?
Character.
I love it. Okay.
And then somebody that is doing something that I'm not.
Yes, exactly where I wanted to lead you. Thank you. So when you're doing these partnerships, obviously, you got to have a piece of a puzzle that you're missing. Imagine two contractors going together on a partnership on a house. They're both like, we'll work on the house.
Yeah. Disaster.
What else?
Disaster.
Do you have any other pieces or no?
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Find people that complement what you're doing and find the missing pieces to your puzzle. Because again, like Nick knows exactly what he's looking for in a partner, especially with our partnerships. He's like, hey, I need a little bit of help on the reno. I need a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Like you've got everything because you know everything on that part.
Yep.
And you basically hire out the pieces that you're missing, which is great.
And I've got a good metaphor.
I love it.
Imagine if you had a plumbing problem and you hired two plumbers to come out and fix the problem.
Okay.
How do you think it would turn out?
It'd probably be worse than it started.
If you had two plumbers show up at the same time to fix the problem.
Yeah. Both of you go at the problem at the exact same time.
Do you think there would be any tension?
Yes.
Do you think there'd be any disagreement?
100%.
Do you think it would take any longer than if maybe just one plumber showed up to fix the plumbing problem?
Because of the tension and disagreement and both people trying to, be the big guy on the campus and egos? Absolutely.
Yeah. Now imagine you have to rough in a house and you've got to do the mechanicals, the HVAC. You've got to do the electric through the house, wiring, that kind of stuff. And then you got to do plumbing. And then you got to hire 3 people. And let's say you hire 2 HVAC guys and 1 plumber.
Okay.
How is that going to go?
Not great.
Dang it. Okay, what if you hired an HVAC guy, a plumber, and an electrician to go work on that house?
It would go better.
Probably better.
Yeah, it would go better. Assuming they all don't get in each other's way, because they'll still do that.
Yeah. Now, what I'm saying might sound really stupid. Like, you may be like, okay, yeah, get it. I don't think you do. Because I've seen so many partnerships come together where 2 people have the same job. They're going to find deals together and work on them and then sell houses. Or they're going to find rentals together, work on them, and then rent them out.
Sure.
Ugh, you're going to have issues. People need their job. People need their separate set of skills.
Yes.
And their separate duties in that partnership.
Absolutely. And that completely depends, but what you're saying, the overarching theme is absolutely correct. You can have like a wholesaling partnership where, you're both going out and finding deals. That's fine, because then you find your other pieces later, right? But on like an actual property that you're fixing and flipping, like find the pieces that you need.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
so going back to the wholesaling topic, I think I've seen wholesale partnerships come together and then they split up right away, or they split their duties.
Sure. And exactly right. Like they're doing the same thing, but their duties are split in that.
Yeah.
partnership.
So they either split up completely or they split up their duties.
Right.
That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was referencing, like I was referencing, Dan Austin and Mike DeHaan, actually.
Okay.
They do their partnership, right? They both go out and find houses, but that's not their roles. They know their specific duties. They are just a partnership at the top in a business, knowing that they have their specific roles and they have their specific duties that go down the pipeline.
Yep.
That's why that partnership works. And right, because you know your role.
Yeah.
And you trust your partner to fulfill their end of the bargain.
Yeah. Now I'll give you an example of a partnership that really went great in one business and then not so much the next. Joe Turner and I.
Yeah.
We've run a real estate team together. We've been running it for almost 8 years, and it's been a pretty fucking good partnership.
Yeah.
The reason why is because she does certain aspects of the business and I do others.
Yep.
She knows that I'm good at working with sellers and doing CMAs and but she's better at like coaching the team and working with buyers and bringing people together. I'm better at like we both kind of butt heads sometimes about the finances a little bit because I think we both look at them at the same time and have our own opinions.
Yeah.
But then we went and we flipped a house together in Post Falls, and it went great. We each had our own things. I knew how to put the deal together, and she brought some of the money. I brought some of the money, but she brought most of it, and we had a great first flip.
Yeah.
We went and did another flip where kind of the same scenario. I brought the deal. I kind of structured it. She was she brought some of the money, and then we had a couple of laborers that were also partners, and that went fantastic.
That's your house flip in 11 days, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, we had another partnership where we flipped another house in Bonners Ferry, and we both made money. However, we both did the same thing. We both found the deal. We both funded the deal, and I think we all felt a little awkward about it.
Yeah.
One of us wasn't needed.
Right.
And since then, we haven't flipped a house together.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with us personally, but we just don't bring any new sets of skills to the table.
Right.
If we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So she went off to flip homes with her fiance because she just doesn't need me.
Right.
And if I'm flipping a house, I just don't really necessarily need her. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we got to learn over time. The first couple of deals went really well because we were bringing different things to the table.
Sure.
Once we started kind of having the same role, it got a little weird. It never got too bad.
No. Yeah.
We made money, but it just didn't quite. I think we figured out. We don't need each other.
On those last couple deals, did you feel unfulfilled?
I felt useless.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
Because we were running a team together. One of our teammates brought us a deal, a wholesale. We purchased it together. We both knew the same hard money guy.
Right.
We both were able to get it financed 100%. Neither of us were going to be obligated to actually work on the house.
Yep.
So what did we bring that was unique?
Yeah. Interesting.
Nothing.
But also like I don't mind like working with people that I just like.
Right.
But
it's different when there's $100,000 on the line.
Yeah.
There's other people involved and people are kind of like, what's the point of this guy?
Sure.
And so what we decided was, hey, how about every other one? I'll get a deal. I'll get this deal. I get dibs on this deal. You get dibs on that deal. And we found that to be a better system.
Yeah.
New opportunities come up to us at the same time. Is it your turn or my turn?
Right.
And that seems to work better.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but like that aside, like, I mean, flipping houses together, like you might not do it together, but you're still like obviously each other's biggest supporters in the business.
Sure.
And you obviously want to see each other succeed. And that does not mean that your real estate team doesn't work, because that works flawlessly.
Well, I mean, they all left.
But you guys are still there.
But when we put effort into it, it does, because we have different roles.
Right, exactly.
We know she's great at, bringing the team culture together. And I'm just there. I don't know what I bring anymore. But experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
And just going back to like my question, obviously, when you vet a potential partner, you looking for mostly character, but I want to go a little bit deeper. I know we're at 55 minutes.
That's okay.
But so look for character. Like, what else? What's your criteria when you're looking for a partner?
So I really, so since I've done so many of these now, I really want to be able to learn something from the partner that I bring on.
Yeah.
And not, but I'm open to mentorships.
Sure.
So if somebody's brand new and they can bring the deal and maybe a little bit of money, I would totally be willing to partner with them if it made sense.
Yep.
Because I don't mind. I wish somebody would have done that for me.
Right.
You know, when I was first starting.
Yeah.
But I do know I've tried to do that. I tried to be that guy in the past, but that person didn't really bring anything.
Right.
And it's happened multiple times where, you know, they don't bring anything but like a potential opportunity to the table, and they're not going to do much or raise the capital or have any skin in the game. There's the commitment levels just not there, and the work ethics is hard to get out of somebody if they don't have actual money in a project. They're all money or time into something.
Right.
So, just because I've been through enough of them, I'm not sure if I want to partner anymore with somebody who's going to work on a house.
Right.
Because I can hire a contractor. I kind of know what to look for.
That's easy.
Yeah. But if there was somebody that came and they confront the cost on some of the construction and do all the construction and get paid later, we're talking materials, labor, all that stuff.
I'm interested.
I'd be more interested in that, because what I've been used to in the past was I would partner with a contractor and I would fund it all. And the longer it took, the more money they'd make.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or people on their team, like it didn't really affect them. And anyway, I've been in multiple different types of contractor relationships as well. You definitely don't want to incentivize somebody for the project to take long, go over budget.
Right.
There should be penalties.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
So that's something I would definitely change up. I know I'm going all over the place here because I'm just thinking memories. Oh yeah, no.
Red flag. And like, so I talked about like what to look for, and what you're kind of going into is like what to really look out for at the same time. What you're looking out for is, you know, people that don't have capital in the deals, people that have a shitty work ethic. There's tons of red flags, but like people need to be aware that like not every partner has your best intention. And I think that's what makes a good partnership. Do they have your best intention?
And why would they? You know, you want to figure that out too.
Right. But like, and like, you know, when we partner on a deal, like Nick's bringing me a deal because he thinks this will make me money.
Yeah.
You have my best intention in mind when we start a partnership. Right. And I have your best intention in mind as well. Like, Nick's bringing me a deal because he trusts me. I don't want to let him down. I want to fulfill my end of the bargain, and I want to be that valuable partner.
Yep.
Right. So again, we're whatever it takes, guys. But not every partner is going to be like that.
No. Sometimes you just have to go through them.
Yep. And you don't know what you don't know. Like,
and you could be that partner that nobody wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately. So you gotta take a couple steps back and be like, am I that person? Like, what am I bringing to the table?
Right. What is my skill set and how am I valuable?
It's not what your country can do for you. It's what can you do for your country?
You heard it here. Nobody's ever said that.
Nobody.
No. So, and again, like the reason why I wanted to kind of end on this note as well, like obviously people are going to continue engaging in partnerships, but just look out for the red flags. And again, we said this at the beginning of the episode, find somebody with a shared end goal or a shared end vision. What is this? What do we want it to be in 12 months, 24 months, whatever? And what's the exit strategy or strategies from that point?
Yes. And I want to end on this too. Most partnerships that you get into, it's highly unlikely that the other party is trying to screw you.
Yes. Vet your partners.
it's super unlikely. Like most of the time, they're not trying to screw you over. People they get stressed, and people handle stress differently, because when you're in a real estate, like fix and flip or something like that, or a development or some sort of a project that takes a long time that can be stressful and life happens, everybody deals with stress differently.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you just got to be careful about, are you dealing with the type of person that when things get stressful, do they blame and take zero accountability? Or are they the type of person that can take some accountability and blame themselves.
Yeah. And a good thing to do too, if you're trying to vet partners, is if they've done partnerships in the past, like ask them about their partnerships in the past. Ask what went wrong. Like, just be honest with them. We're having a real conversation over coffee. Like, okay, so you've been in partnerships before. Like, why didn't they work out? Just ask the question. And, they'll give you something, and you can even ask who their partners are. And you can even call them and vet them. Like, hey, I'm thinking of entering a deal with these people.
It's one of the best things you can do is actually call and get references.
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing...
And don't get the references from them directly.
Right.
Try to find out who do they know that would give an impartial opinion.
Right, exactly. Do your own due diligence for sure. But, like, making some phone calls can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars to just be like, hey, how did this partner handle you? Would you partner with them again? Asking them questions like that. Like, did they fulfill their role? Just again, have a conversation with these people, because if they're honest, they shouldn't be hiding anything. They should be like, yeah, they were great, or no, they sucked. And just because they sucked in one partnership doesn't mean it's a no-go, but it's something to just consider for sure.
Yep. All right. I think we've talked enough about partnerships for now. Yeah. Okay. If you guys have any questions for us, feel free to comment in YouTube and just ask us. Maybe we'll address it. Maybe we won't.
Maybe we won't.
Maybe we'll just hit the like button.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us a comment.
Yeah. I'm not going to go to every single comment. I should start replying to those. But for real, thank you so much for listening or watching the episode if you have. Again, if you haven't already, please follow our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Investor Shed Podcast with Nick Beveridge and Jeremy Kitchen. You can't miss it. It's a big green thumbnail with our big green stupid faces.
Yeah. We try to make them as stupid as we can.
So stupid.
And also, don't forget to come to our event in the fall.
Yeah.
If you guys want to come to a real estate event and learn from the best in the biz and network like crazy, now's your chance to get a cheap ticket before they go up. They're going up soon. Thanks.
We've got such a good... Hold on. Okay. Such a good lineup there. You got Kathy Fettke, you got Tom Wheelwright.
Experts.
We got, I don't know who else. Brandon Turner sold us something. He said
AJ Osborne's coming.
Yeah, AJ Osborne's coming.
Steve Rosenberg.
Freaking love that guy.
Yeah. Sean Dolan's going to speak.
Yeah.
Justin James Sherfy.
That's right.
I hope he plays the fiddle.
I hope he does too.
If not, I just hope he talks.
Yeah, that's also cool. He's pretty informative. But again,
we got a lot of
the website. What's the website, by the way?
The website, northidahorei.com, and then just click on the fall event page.
I love it. Want to make sure you drive people to a spot where they can actually click buy the thing. So buy the thing, and we will see you in September, ladies and gentlemen. If not, we will see you on the next episode of the Investor Shed Podcast.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.